My beloved child, how long have you been waiting for me to answer? How many nights have you whispered your questions into the dark, wondering if I heard you at all? You have asked me for direction. You have asked me for clarity. You have asked me for relief. And in the quiet corners of your heart, a small ache has begun to form, whispering, "Why is heaven silent?" But listen to me now, closely and gently. I have never been silent toward you. I have never ignored your tears. I have never turned away from your voice. My beloved child, I already sent you the answer. I see the confusion rising in your thoughts even now. If you sent it, where is it? Why don't I see it? Why does it still hurt? Why do I still feel lost? These questions do not offend me. I understand them. I understand you. You were looking for a door to swing wide open, for a loud confirmation, for a sign so clear it could not be missed. You were waiting for thunder, for lightning, for a moment so undeniable that all doubt would disappear. But what if the answer did not come wrapped in the way you expected? What if it arrived quietly, like the first light of dawn that slowly pushes back the night? What if it came in a form that did not match the picture you had painted in your mind? My child, sometimes you pray for rescue, and I send you strength. Sometimes you pray for change, and I send you growth. Sometimes you pray for the mountain to move, and I place courage inside your heart so you can climb. The answer was not absent. It was simply different. You have been scanning the horizon, searching for something dramatic, something immediate. Yet while you were looking far away, I was working very near. While you were waiting for a miracle outside of you, I was shaping one within you. While you were asking for a sign in the sky, I was placing wisdom in your spirit. I know how it feels to wait. I know how heavy uncertainty can be. I know how easy it is to believe that delay means denial. But my timing is not neglect. My methods are not mistakes. I am too loving to ignore you, and too wise to answer you in a way that would harm you. So lean in closer now. Let your heart soften instead of harden. Let curiosity rise instead of disappointment. Ask yourself gently, what if the answer has already been placed before me? What conversation did you dismiss? What opportunity did you overlook? What inner nudge did you silence because it did not seem grand enough? My beloved child, I am not distant from you. I am not withholding from you. I am not testing you with silence. I am inviting you to see differently. The answer you are still begging for may already be resting in your hands. And as we continue, I will help you recognize it. My beloved child, I remember the night you cried and tried not to make a sound. I remember how you pressed your face into the pillow so no one would hear the breaking in your voice. You thought you were alone in that moment. You thought your words disappeared into the ceiling. But every tear that slipped from your eyes fell into my hands. Every question you whispered reached my heart. You have wondered if I ignored your cry. You have asked yourself, if he truly hears me, why does nothing change? But I tell you now with tenderness and certainty, not one prayer of yours has been wasted. Not one sigh has gone unnoticed. Not one desperate plea hath been brushed aside. When a child calls for their father, the father does not pretend not to hear. And I am not distant from you. I am closer than your breath. I am attentive even when you think I am still. There are moments when you pray for immediate relief, and I begin working in ways you cannot yet see. You measure answers by visible shifts. You measure progress by outward results. But I measure transformation by what is happening inside you. While you were waiting for circumstances to change, I was strengthening your heart. While you were looking for the storm to stop, I was teaching you how to stand steady in the wind. My child, There is a difference between silence and preparation. When a seed is placed beneath the soil, it looks like nothing is happening. The ground appears unchanged. The surface remains quiet. But beneath that dark covering, life is pushing forward. Roots are forming. Strength is gathering. Growth is unfolding in secret. In the same way, when you prayed, I did not ignore you. I planted something. I began shaping events. I lined conversations. I blocked dangers you never knew were coming. I softened hearts that needed time. I prepared paths that required clearing. Yes, because you could not see the movement does not mean there was none. You must understand this, my beloved child. My timing is never careless. If I answered every prayer at the speed of your emotion, you would sometimes receive blessings before you were ready to hold them. A door opened too soon can overwhelm you. A responsibility given too quickly can crush you. I answer with wisdom, not impulse. Think of a loving father teaching his child to ride a bicycle. The child cries out, "Hold me tighter." You don't let go. But the father knows that balance will never be learned if he never loosens his grip. For a moment, the child feels fear. For a moment, it feels unstable. But that small release is not abandonment. It is growth. You have mistaken my careful guidance for distance. You have interpreted my patience as delay. Yet I have been walking beside you through every unanswered moment. I have watched you grow stronger in ways you did not recognize. I have seen resilience forming in you like steel beneath soft skin. Even now, there are prayers you prayed months ago that are quietly unfolding. Pieces are moving into place. Timing is aligning. Hearts are shifting. The story is being written in chapters, not in a single page. You want the ending revealed, but I am still crafting a beautiful middle. Do not let disappointment convince you that you were unheard. Do not let doubt rewrite the truth of our relationship. I am not a father who turns away from his child's need. I am the one who gathers your cries and transforms them into purpose. My beloved child, I heard you the first time. I heard you the 10th time. I heard you when you stopped praying because you were too tired to speak. And even in that exhaustion, I remained faithful. The cry you thought I ignored was the very cry that set things in motion. And as we continue, I will gently show you how the answers have been unfolding, even when your eyes could not yet recognize them. My beloved child, let me tell you a simple story. Imagine a package delivered to your door. Your name is written clearly on it. The address is correct. It was sent with care, sealed with intention, and placed right where you could see it. But because the box does not look the way you expected, you walk past it. You glance at it uncertain. You wonder if it could truly be yours. Days pass. Dust begins to settle on the surface. And still, the gift remains unopened. This is how many of my answers have arrived in your life. You were expecting shining paper and bright ribbons. You were expecting something dramatic, something that would instantly remove all confusion. But sometimes I send the answer in plain wrapping. Sometimes it comes disguised as a small opportunity. Sometimes it looks like an uncomfortable conversation. Sometimes it appears as a quiet inner nudge you almost ignore. And because it did not sparkle the way you imagined, you hesitated. My beloved child, fear has a way of making you suspicious of blessings. It can cause you to question what was meant to guide you. You have prayed for change, yet when change knocked softly at your door, you wondered if it was safe to open it. You have asked for direction, yet when a new path appeared, you questioned whether you were worthy to walk it. There was a moment, not long ago, when I placed an idea in your heart. It felt small, almost fragile. You dismissed it because it did not seem powerful enough. But that idea was a seed. It was the beginning of something greater. You walked away from it, thinking, that cannot be the answer. It is too simple. But my ways are often simple. I do not always work through spectacle. I work through process. I work through quiet unfolding. There was a conversation you had that stayed with you longer than you expected. A sentence someone spoke that echoed in your thoughts. You brushed it aside as coincidence. Yet I was speaking through that moment. I was placing clarity within reach. The unopened package is not a punishment. It is an invitation. I never force the gift into your hands. I offer it. I place it before you. I allow you to choose whether you will trust me enough to open it. You see, sometimes the answer requires participation. It requires courage. It requires you to take a small step without knowing every detail. You want certainty before movement. But faith grows through movement. Think of a child learning to read. At first, the letters look confusing. The words feel unclear. But as the child leans in, sounding out each letter slowly, meaning begins to form. Understanding does not come from staring at the closed book. It comes from opening it. In the same way, my beloved child, clarity comes as you lean toward what I have already placed before you. The job opportunity that scared you. The boundary you felt prompted to set. The apology you knew you needed to offer. The habit you felt led to release. These were not random thoughts. These were wrapped answers. I know it can feel safer to leave the package unopened. As long as it stays closed, you do not risk disappointment. As long as it remains untouched, you do not have to confront change. But unopened gifts cannot bless you. They can only sit in waiting. Do not be afraid of the wrapping. Do not let unfamiliar shapes convince you that the gift is wrong. Trust that if it carries your name, if it aligns with peace rather than chaos, if it draws you closer to growth rather than fear, it may very well be from me. My beloved child, I do not send confusion. I send invitations. I do not send traps. I send pathways. If you pause long enough to look again, you will begin to recognize that what you thought was ordinary may have been sacred. The answer has not been withheld from you. It hath been waiting for your hands to open it. My beloved child, there are moments when the answer I send does not look like movement at all. It looks like delay. It feels like standing still while everything around you continues forward. It feels like watching others step into what you have been praying for, while you remain in the same place. And in that stillness, a quiet fear begins to whisper, "Have I been forgotten?" But hear me clearly now. Delay is not denial. Waiting is not abandonment. What feels like stillness to you is often preparation in my hands. Think of a seed buried deep beneath the soil. If you stand above it and stare at the ground, you will see nothing changing. Day after day, the surface looks the same. There is no evidence of life, no green breaking through, no sign that growth has begun. And yet beneath that dark layer, something powerful is happening. The shell of the seed is cracking open. Roots are pushing downward before any stem rises upward. Strength is forming where no one can applaud it. Would you accuse the soil of failure simply because you cannot see the roots? My beloved child, I have allowed you seasons where nothing seems to move because I am strengthening your foundation. You have asked me for stability. You have asked me for lasting blessings. But lasting things require deep roots, and roots grow in hidden places. If I rushed the process, if I allowed the surface to bloom before the roots were ready, The first strong wind would tear it down. I care too much about you to give you something that cannot endure. I am not interested in temporary success that collapses under pressure. I am building something in you that will stand. There have been days when you felt stuck. You questioned your progress. You replayed your efforts and wondered why the breakthrough had not arrived. But in those very days, patience was growing inside you. Endurance was forming. Wisdom was settling into your spirit. You were becoming someone capable of carrying what you once only wait for. A child may look at a construction site and see chaos, dust, noise, broken ground. But the architect sees design. The builder sees structure taking shape. What looks like disruption is actually alignment. In the same way, what feels like delay in your life is often alignment. I am arranging details you cannot yet see. I am coordinating timing that must intersect perfectly. I am protecting you from paths that would drain you. I am shaping your character so that when the door opens, you will walk through it with confidence instead of fear. You measure time in days and months. I measure it in readiness and purpose. You focus on how long it has been. I focus on how prepared you are becoming. My beloved child, I know the ache of waiting can feel heavy. I know comparison can make the waiting feel longer. But your journey is not behind schedule. It is unfolding exactly as it needs to. The quiet season is not empty. It is sacred. When you cannot see progress, trust that I am working beneath the surface. When you feel overlooked, remember that hidden growth is often the most powerful growth. When you feel delayed, remind yourself that I am not hurried by fear or pressured by expectation. I am patient because I see the whole picture. I am steady because I know the ending from the beginning. And I would rather take my time shaping something beautiful in you than rush and leave you unprepared. So do not despise this season. Do not label it wasted. The soil may look silent, but life is forming underneath. The answer may seem delayed, but it is developing strength you cannot yet measure. My beloved child, what feels like waiting is often becoming. And when the time is right, what has been growing in secret will rise in a way that makes you understand why the delay was necessary all along. My beloved child, there is something you must understand about the way I move in your life. I do not always part seas in front of you. I do not always write answers across the sky. Very often, I send the answer through another human heart. You prayed for guidance, and I sent someone with wisdom. You prayed for comfort, and I sent someone with gentle words. You prayed for opportunity, and I sent someone who mentioned your name in a room you were not in. Yet because they looked ordinary, because they did not arrive with a shining sign above their head, you did not recognize that I was working through them. I designed you for connection. I wove you into a world of relationships, and many of my answers travel along the bridges between souls. There was a conversation you almost canceled, a meeting you nearly avoided, a message you hesitated to respond to. You thought it was random. You thought it was coincidence. But I was arranging that moment long before you stepped into it. I was aligning hearts and timing so that what you needed would meet you at just the right point. Sometimes I speak through a friend who gently challenges you. Sometimes I speak through a stranger who shares a story that mirrors your own. Sometimes I speak through a child whose simple honesty touches something deep inside you. Do not underestimate these moments. They are not accidents. You once asked me, why don't you just tell me directly? My beloved child, I do speak directly to your heart. But I also choose to involve others because love multiplies when it flows between people. When I send someone to you, I am not only answering your prayer, I am weaving a greater story of connection. There was advice you received that you brushed aside because it did not match your plan. Yet deep within, you felt a quiet stirring that it carried truth. That stirring was my confirmation. I was nudging you gently, not forcing, not demanding, but inviting you to listen more closely. I know that sometimes people have hurt you. I know trust has not always been easy. And because of that, you may guard your heart tightly. But do not let past wounds block present blessings. Not everyone who enters your life comes to take. Some come because I sent them. Think of a river. It does not create its own water. It receives from countless streams flowing into it. In the same way, wisdom often reaches you through many voices. Encouragement flows through unexpected channels. Provision arrives through willing hands. You are not meant to walk this journey isolated. When you prayed for strength, I sent people to remind you of who you are. When you prayed for clarity, I sent conversations that planted perspective. When you prayed for healing, I sent those who reflected compassion back to you. And sometimes, my beloved child, I have even sent you as the answer to someone else's prayer. The kindness you offered, the message you shared, the time you gave, those were not small acts. They were divine deliveries. Just as others carry answers to you, you carry answers to them. Look back now. Think of the moments that shifted something in you. A sentence that lingered. A gesture that softened your heart. A connection that opened a door. Those were not random fragments. They were part of my design. Do not dismiss the ordinary. Do not assume that because something feels simple, it lacks divine purpose. I am present in the everyday. I move through conversations, through friendships, through unexpected encounters. I use willing hearts as vessels of my care. My beloved child, the next time someone reaches out, pause before you brush it aside. The next time advice resonates in your spirit, lean in instead of resisting. The next time a connection feels meaningful, honor it. I am closer than you think, and sometimes I am speaking to you through the very people standing in front of you. My beloved child, there were doors you begged me to open. You stood before them with hope in your heart and expectation in your eyes. You imagined what life would look like if they swung wide. You rehearsed the future in your mind. You convinced yourself that behind that door was the very thing you needed. And when it remained closed, you felt rejected. You questioned your worth. You questioned your prayers. You even questioned me. Why would you place this desire in my heart? You wondered, only to shut the door in my face. The silence of that closed door echoed loudly in your thoughts. But listen to me gently now. Not every closed door is a punishment. Not every no is a denial of love. Sometimes a closed door is protection wrapped in disappointment. Imagine a small child reaching eagerly toward a busy street. The child sees freedom, excitement, open space. But the father sees speeding cars and hidden danger. When the father pulls the child back and says no, the child may cry. The child may feel restricted. Yet the father's refusal is not cruelty. It is care. My beloved child, there have been paths you could not see clearly. Opportunities that looked perfect on the surface but carried burdens you were not meant to bear. Relationships that sparkled with promise yet would have drained your spirit. Situations that seemed like breakthroughs but would have quietly broken your peace. You saw the door. I saw what was behind it. There were moments when rejection felt sharp, when an opportunity slipped away, when someone chose another over you, when plans collapsed without warning. You felt embarrassed. You felt confused. You felt left behind. But I was redirecting you. A closed door is often my way of turning your steps toward something better aligned with your purpose. If every door opened simply because you knocked, you would walk into rooms that diminish you. I care too deeply about your future to allow that. You measure opportunity by excitement. I measure it by alignment. You look at what feels good in the moment. I look at what will sustain you in the long run. You see the immediate gain. I see the hidden cost. There were doors that did not open because they would have required you to shrink yourself. Doors that demanded compromise of your values. Doors that offered applause but stole your peace. I will not bless what would harm you, even if you beg for it. And I know, my beloved child, that sometimes you interpreted the closed door as a statement about your worth. You thought, "Baby, I'm not enough." But the closing of that door had nothing to do with your value. It had everything to do with my protection. Think of a shepherd guiding sheep along a mountain path. The shepherd does not allow them to wander toward cliffs, even if the grass looks greener near the edge. Boundaries are not barriers to joy. They are safeguards for life. The door that closed was not the end of your story. It was a redirection. A gentle pivot, a recalibration of your path. What felt like loss was often positioning. And now, when you look back, you may begin to see it. The door you cried over was not the one meant for you. The rejection you feared actually redirected you toward growth. The ending you resisted created space for something healthier to begin. My beloved child, trust me when something does not open. Trust me when plans shift unexpectedly. Trust me when rejection stings. I am not withholding goodness from you. I am guarding your destiny. The closed door was not a mistake. It was my loving hand steering you away from harm and guiding you toward a path that will not only open, but will welcome you fully, without requiring you to lose yourself to walk through it. My beloved child, there is another way. I have sent you the answer, and it may surprise you. I have sent it through your restlessness. You have felt it before. A quiet discomfort that would not let you settle. That inner stirring that made familiar places feel tight. That sense that something was shifting, even though nothing around you had visibly changed. You tried to ignore it. You told yourself you should be grateful. You convinced yourself that stability meant you should stay still. But deep inside there was a holy unease. You thought something was wrong with you. You wondered why contentment felt distant. You questioned your own heart. Why can't I just be satisfied? You answered. But my beloved child, not all restlessness is rebellion. Sometimes it is redirection. When a bird grows strong enough to fly, the nest that once felt safe begins to feel small. The walls that once protected it now restrict its wings. The discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is a signal of growth. In the same way, when you begin to outgrow a season, I allow you to feel it. I let the restlessness rise gently within you, not to disturb you, but to awaken you. Not to torment you, but to prepare you for movement. You prayed for purpose. You prayed for more. And when I began stretching your capacity, it did not feel comfortable. Growth rarely does. Muscles strengthen through resistance. Faith deepens through stepping beyond what is familiar. There were days when you woke up with a quiet knowing that something needed to change. You could not explain it clearly. You could not map out the next step. But the stirring would not leave you alone. That was not confusion. That was my whisper. I was loosening your attachment to what was comfortable so you would not cling to what was temporary. I was gently disrupting your routine because your calling required expansion. If everything around you remained perfectly comfortable, you might never move. Think of a river. When it meets a blockage, pressure builds. The water does not stop being water. It seeks a new path. It carves a new direction. The pressure creates movement. Your restlessness has often been the pressure that pushes you toward new territory. It is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle, a loss of excitement, a shift in passion, a quiet dissatisfaction that cannot be ignored. You thought it meant something was wrong, but often it meant something was next. My beloved child, I would not awaken a desire in you without purpose. I would not plant longing in your heart without intention. The discomfort you feel is not meant to break you. It is meant to propel you. There is a difference between reckless impulse and divine stirring. Reckless impulse is driven by fear or ego. Divine stirring carries both discomfort and peace. It stretches you, but it does not suffocate you. It challenges you, but it does not condemn you. When you felt that urge to learn something new, to shift directions, to release something that no longer aligned, that was not random, that was part of the answer. I was guiding you from the inside out. You do not always need a sign in the sky when I have already placed a compass in your spirit. That quiet pull, that gentle dissatisfaction, that hunger for deeper meaning, these are indicators that I am moving you forward. Do not silence the restlessness too quickly. Do not drown it in distraction. Sit with it. Listen to it. Ask me what it is pointing toward. Often, the discomfort you are trying to escape is the doorway to the growth you prayed for. My beloved child, your restlessness is not a flaw. It is often the echo of my voice, calling you into the next chapter I have prepared for you. My beloved child, there is one way I have spoken to you that has been the hardest for you to accept. I have sent the answer through silence. You are used to noise. You are used to movement. You are used to constant signals and immediate responses. So when you prayed and all you heard was quiet, your heart began to tremble. You wondered if I had stepped away. You wondered if your connection with me had weakened. You searched for signs, for feelings, for something dramatic to reassure you. But silence is not absence. When a teacher gives a test, the room grows quiet. The teacher does not whisper the answers while the students are writing. The silence does not mean the teacher has left. It means the teacher trusts what has already been taught. In the same way, there have been seasons when I grew quiet because I had already placed truth inside you. I had already given you wisdom. I had already shown you who you are. The silence was not abandonment. It was confidence. You wanted constant confirmation. You wanted me to repeat myself again and again. But growth comes when you begin to walk on what you already know. Trust deepens when you choose to move forward even without fresh reassurance. Silence can feel uncomfortable because it removes your sense of control. It forces you to rely not on emotion, but on faith. It asks you to remember instead of react. It invites you to rest instead of strive. My beloved child, in the quiet, I am closer than you think. Silence is often the space where I strengthen your roots. When there are no loud distractions, you begin to hear your own heart more clearly. You begin to recognize my peace rather than chasing dramatic signs. There were moments when you thought, if only I could feel something, then I would know. But feelings rise and fall like waves. My presence is steady beneath them. Just because you do not feel me intensely does not mean I have moved. Think of the sky on a cloudy day. The sun does not disappear simply because clouds block your view. It remains steady and bright above what you can see. In the same way, my presence does not fade when your emotions shift. Sometimes I allow silence because I am inviting you deeper. Noise keeps you at the surface. Silence draws you inward. It teaches you to listen with your spirit rather than your fear. It teaches you patience and teaches you trust. You have grown more in the quiet than you realize. In those silent seasons, you have learned to steady your thoughts. You have learned to breathe through uncertainty. You have learned that your world does not collapse when answers are delayed. It is strength forming within you. My beloved child, silence is not punishment. It is intimacy. It is an invitation to sit with me without agenda. You rest without striving. To know that you are loved even when no dramatic sign appears. When I am quiet, I am not distant. I am often working beneath the surface, aligning things beyond your sight. I am allowing circumstances to settle. I am shaping outcomes that require stillness to unfold. Do not fear the quiet. Do not interpret it as rejection. Let it become sacred ground. Let it remind you that your relationship with me is not built on constant noise, but on steady presence. Even in silence, I am speaking. Even in stillness, I am guiding. And if you lean into the quiet instead of resisting it, you will discover that the answer was not missing. It was waiting for you to listen in a deeper way. My beloved child, there is another way the answer has reached you, and this one has been the most painful to understand. Sometimes, I have sent the answer through loss. You did not expect that. You prayed for increase, not decrease. You prayed for connection, not separation. You prayed for stability, not endings. So when something slipped from your hands, when a relationship ended, when an opportunity faded, when a season closed, you felt as though the ground beneath you gave way. Loss has a way of shaking your confidence. It makes you question what is secure. It makes you wonder what can truly be trusted. And in those moments, it is easy to believe that something has gone wrong. But my beloved child, not every loss is destruction. Sometimes it is pruning. Consider a gardener walking through a vineyard. He carries sharp tools, and to the untrained eye, it looks as though he is harming the plant. He cuts away branches that once carried leaves. He removes parts that appear alive. If the vine can speak, it might cry out in confusion. It might ask, "Why are you taking what I worked so hard to grow?" But the gardener sees what the vine cannot. He knows that without pruning, the plant will become overgrown. Its energy will be scattered. Its fruit will be smaller, weaker. By removing certain branches, he directs strength toward what truly matters. The cutting is not cruelty. It is preparation for greater fruit. There have been things in your life that felt essential. You built memories around them. You imagined your future with them. And when they were taken away, it felt like a tearing. You questioned why I would allow something you loved to leave. I do not take pleasure in your pain. I am not indifferent to your tears. When you grieve, I am near. When you feel empty, I am holding you. But sometimes what you lose clears space for what you need. There were attachments that had grown too tight. Expectations that had begun to limit you. Situations that quietly drained your spirit. You could not see it clearly because familiarity can feel safe, even when it is no longer healthy. Loss forces you to loosen your grip. It reminds you that your identity is not anchored in a person, a title, or a season. It draws you back to what is eternal. It teaches you resilience you did not know you possessed. My beloved child, I know how deeply it hurt. I saw the nights you replayed memories in your mind. I heard the questions you asked through tears. I felt the weight of your disappointment. And even then, I was working gently beneath the surface. Sometimes loss is a doorway. Sometimes it shifts your path in ways comfort never could. Sometimes it awakens parts of you that had been asleep. Strength, compassion, clarity. These often rise from places touched by grief. Think of a forest after a storm. Broken branches scatter the ground. The landscape looks altered. Yet in time, new growth emerges. Sunlight reaches places it could not before. Seeds that waited beneath the soil begin to sprout. In this same way, the space created by loss allows new life to enter. It may not look the same. It may not arrive in the form you expected, but it carries purpose. You are not defined by what you have lost. You are not diminished because something ended. You are still whole in my sight. You are still held. And what remains in your life now is not random. It is refined. My beloved child, the loss you endured was not the end of your story, and was a turning of the page. And though the chapter closed with tears, the story I am writing continues with hope. Even in loss, I have been sending you the answer, guiding you toward deeper strength, clearer vision, and a future shaped not by what was taken, but by what is yet to come. My beloved child, after all the doors, the silence, the loss, the waiting, there is something I need you to see clearly now. The answer you have been searching for has not only been around you, it has been within you. When you asked me for strength, I did not simply send circumstances to carry you. I planted resilience inside your spirit. When you asked for wisdom, I did not only arrange conversations around you. I awakened discernment within your heart. When you prayed for courage, I did not remove every fearful situation. I placed bravery in your bones. You have been looking outward, scanning your surroundings for a breakthrough. Yet all along, I have been building one inside you. There were moments when you handled pressure differently than you used to. Times when you paused instead of reacting. Days when you felt the urge to give up, yet something steady within you refused to quit. That steadiness was not accidental. That was growth. That was the answer taking root in your own soul. You thought you were still weak because you felt afraid. But strength is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. And you have been moving forward more than you realize. Look at how you speak now compared to before. Look at how you set boundaries where once you remained silent. Look at how you endure discomfort without collapsing. These are not small changes. These are signs of transformation. My beloved child, I created you with intention. I formed you with capacity. There are gifts inside you that have not yet fully unfolded. There is wisdom within you that you are only beginning to trust. The peace you seek is not always found in changed surroundings, but in a settled spirit. You asked me for confirmation, yet I have already written answers into your character. The compassion you show others is part of the answer. The persistence that keeps you trying is part of the answer. The desire to grow, even after disappointment, is part of the answer. You are not as lost as you think. You are not as behind as you fear. You are carrying more than you know. Now, my beloved child, as you begin to see that I have placed answers within you, I want you to understand something deeper. This message reaching you right now is not random. It is part of how I continue to speak. And there are many of my children still waiting in the dark, believing I have been silent toward them. When you choose to support this mission, you are not simply giving to a channel. You are helping my light travel farther. You are placing seeds into soil you may never physically see, yet souls will rise from it like a harvest. I have said that when you sow generously, you will reap generously, and this is not distant scripture. It is my living promise to you. When you feel the stirring to act, that is me inviting you. This is your moment to become part of the answer for someone else. As this message has strengthened you, your super thanks, your membership, or your PayPal gift becomes oil in the lamp, keeping this light burning for those still searching. Do not hesitate when I move your heart. Step forward in obedience. Let your giving become a river that carries hope into weary lives. I will bless the hands that release in faith, and I will multiply what is sown with love. Now act. Support this work. Become a living vessel through which my word continues to reach my beloved children across the world. My beloved child, there is something gentle yet powerful I must remind you of. When you prayed for a better life, you were not only praying for comfort. When you asked me to strengthen you, you were not asking for an easier road. You were asking to become stronger, and strength is not formed in ease. You remember the days when you cried out, "Make me stronger. Help me handle this. Teach me to stand." I heard every word. But strength is not something I simply place in your hands like a finished object. It is something I shape within you through experience. Imagine a young tree planted in rich soil. If it grows in a place where there is never wind, its trunk remains thin and fragile. It may look beautiful for a season, but when the first strong storm arrives, it bends too easily. Yet when a tree faces steady wind, its roots dig deeper. Its trunk thickens. Its fibers grow firm. The very pressure that seemed threatening becomes the force that makes it resilient. My beloved child, the resistance you have faced has not been meaningless. It has been shaping you. You prayed for patience, and I allowed circumstances that required you to wait. You prayed for courage, and I allowed situations that demanded boldness. You prayed for faith, and I allowed moments where certainty was not visible. This was not to exhaust you. It was to build you. There were times when you said, "Why is this happening again? Why does it feel so hard?" But what you did not see was how differently you were responding. Where once you might have panicked, you paused. Where once you might have given up, you endured. Where once you might have spoken in anger, you chose restraint. That is strength. Strength does not shout. It grows quietly. It shows up in small decisions. It reveals itself in steady persistence. It is found in the ability to rise one more time after falling. You may still feel fragile at times, but do not confuse sensitivity with weakness. Even steel is formed through intense heat. Pressure refines what already exists. My beloved child, you asked to become someone who could carry greater responsibility. You asked to step into purpose. But purpose requires capacity. It requires a heart that can withstand disappointment without hardening. It requires a spirit that can endure delay without collapsing. Every challenge you have navigated has added to that capacity. Think of a sculptor standing before a block of stone. The stone does not understand why pieces are being chipped away. It feels the strikes of the chisel and may imagine destruction. But the sculptor sees the figure hidden within. With every careful strike, the image becomes clearer. I'm shaping you in the same way. The parts that feel uncomfortable are often the areas being refined. I am not diminishing you. I'm revealing you. You once feared that hardship meant you were failing, but hardship often means you are growing. Muscles ache after they are used. Minds stretch when they are challenged. Hearts expand when they are tested. You are becoming the person you once prayed to be. And one day, when you stand in a place of stability, when you guide someone else through a storm, when you handle pressure with calm assurance, you will realize that the strength you carry did not arrive overnight. It was built step by step. My beloved child, do not resent the training ground. Do not despise the seasons that required endurance. They have prepared you for more than you can currently imagine. The answer you asked for was not comfort alone. It was transformation. And transformation requires process. You are stronger now than you were before. You are steadier than you realize. And the strength forming within you will not only sustain you, it will bless others who look to you and see what resilience truly looks like. My beloved child, you have asked me more than once, what is my purpose? You have looked at your life and wondered if you are truly walking in what you were created for. You have compared your journey to others and questioned whether you are moving fast enough, shining bright enough, achieving enough. But purpose is not a race, and it is not a performance. When you prayed for purpose, you imagined a clear map unfolding before you. You imagined a voice giving you every detail, every turn, every outcome. You wanted certainty. You wanted a full picture. But purpose is rarely revealed in a single glance. It unfolds step by step, like a path emerging through morning fog. Imagine walking along a quiet road at dawn. The mist hangs low, and you cannot see miles ahead, yet you can see the next few steps clearly. That is how I often guide you. I do not always show you the entire journey. I illuminate just enough for you to move forward. If I revealed everything at once, you might feel overwhelmed. If you saw every challenge and every triumph laid out in detail, you might hesitate or try to control it. So I invite you into trust instead. Purpose is not only found in grand achievements. It is woven into daily obedience. It is present when you choose integrity over convenience. It is present when you show kindness in small moments. It is present when you use your gifts, even if only a few people notice. You have believed that purpose must feel dramatic, but often it feels steady. It feels like showing up when it would be easier to withdraw. It feels like continuing to learn when progress seems slow. It feels like serving faithfully even when recognition is absent. My beloved child, I have placed unique gifts inside you. They are not meant to look exactly like anyone else's. Comparison clouds your vision. When you measure yourself against others, you forget that your calling is distinct. The flower does not question its worth because it does not look like a tree. Both have purpose, but they fulfill it differently. There have been moments when you sensed a quiet pull toward something meaningful, an interest that persisted, a burden for survival, a desire to create, to build, to teach, to encourage. Those nudges were not random. They were clues. Purpose often hides in what moves your heart. It reveals itself in what you cannot ignore. It grows in what you are willing to nurture consistently. You do not need to have every answer today. You do not need to understand the full scope of your impact. Faithfulness in small steps creates clarity over time. When you take one obedient step, the next becomes visible. Think of a craftsman building a house. He does not begin with the roof. He lays the foundation, and the frame, and the walls. Each stage matters. None are wasted. Your life is being built in stages as well. There have been seasons where you felt directionless, yet even those seasons shaped you. They taught you what does not align. They strengthened your discernment. They refined your desires. Even confusion can guide you toward clarity. My beloved child, your purpose is not something you must chase in fear. It is something we walk into together. I am not hiding it from you. I am unfolding it with you. Trust the next step I place before you. Honor the gifts you carry. Release the pressure to have it all figured out. You are not behind. You are becoming. And as you continue to move forward, even when the fog is not fully lifted, you will look back one day and see that every step, every delay, every lesson, every act of faith was shaping you perfectly for the purpose I designed uniquely for you. My beloved child, there is something tender yet true I must speak into your heart now. The answer you have been waiting for has often required your movement. You have prayed for open doors, for clarity, for confirmation so undeniable that you could not possibly hesitate. You have waited for the ground to feel completely solid beneath your feet before taking a step. But faith does not always wait for full visibility. Sometimes it moves while the path is still forming. Imagine standing at the edge of a shoreline. The water stretches before you, calm yet uncertain. You tell yourself you will step forward when you are absolutely sure it is safe. Yet the water remains watered until you place your foot into it. Movement reveals what standing still never will. There have been moments when I placed an opportunity before you, and your heart stirred with both excitement and fear. You felt the invitation, but you also felt the risk. You wanted guarantees. You wanted every possible outcome explained. But growth does not come with complete certainty. It comes with trust. My beloved child, I do not ask you to leap blindly. I ask you to take the next step I have illuminated. When you sense peace beneath the nervousness, when you feel alignment deep within your spirit, that is often me guiding you forward. You have sometimes mistaken hesitation for wisdom. You have told yourself you are simply being cautious, and caution can be wise. But fear can disguise itself as caution. It can keep you standing still long after the moment to move has arrived. There was a time when you felt prompted to begin something new. You speak of, you apply, to create, to release what no longer served you. The opportunity did not shout, it whispered. And because it whispered, you wondered if it was real. Faith often begins as a whisper. Think of a small flame. It does not roar at first. It flickers quietly. But when protected and nurtured, it grows stronger. In the same way, the nudges I place in your heart require action to grow clearer. You asked me for direction, and I gave you a step. You asked me for purpose, and I gave you an opportunity. You asked me for change, and I stirred your spirit. But the door does not open fully until you turn the handle. Movement does not mean recklessness. It means trusting that I am with you as you walk. It means believing that even if you misstep, I am able to redirect you. I am not waiting to punish you for imperfect action. I am walking beside you, guiding as you go. When a child learns to walk, there are wobbles. There are stumbles. Yet the father does not scold the child for trying. He celebrates the courage to step. In the same way, I delight in your willingness to move, even when your steps are small. Standing still can feel safe, but remaining unmoved when I am calling you forward can keep you from the very breakthrough you seek. The answer you are waiting for may be waiting on your obedience. You do not need to see the entire staircase to take the first step. You do not need every detail resolve it to begin. I will meet you in motion. I will guide you as you walk. My beloved child, trust that I am not leading you toward harm. Trust that when I invite you forward, it is because I have already prepared the path ahead. The answer is not always found in waiting for more signs. Sometimes it is discovered in faithful action. Step forward with me. Let courage rise. Let trust lead. And as you move, you will begin to see that the path becomes clearer not before you walk, but because you walk. My beloved child, there is something else that has made my answers difficult for you to recognize. Fear has distorted the delivery. Fear is subtle. It does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers quietly in the background of your thoughts. It colors what you see. It reshapes what you hear. It convinces you that what was meant for good might somehow end in harm. There have been moments when I placed an opportunity before you, and instead of seeing possibility, you saw potential failure. When I opened a path, you imagined every way it could collapse. When I reassured your heart, fear translated my peace into doubt. Fear is like static on a radio. The message is still being transmitted clearly, but the interference makes it hard to hear. You strain to understand. You question whether the signal is real. Yet the problem is not the message. It is the noise. My beloved child, fear often rises from past wounds. It grows from disappointment, from betrayal, from moments when things did not unfold the way you hoped. You learn to protect yourself. You learn to anticipate what might go wrong. And while caution can guard you, fear can imprison you. There were times when I gently nudged you forward, and fear immediately began listing reasons to stay where you were. What if you fail? What if you are not ready? What if this ends like the last time? Those thoughts felt logical. They felt responsible. But beneath them was a deeper current of self-doubt. Fear narrows your vision. It magnifies risk and minimizes promise. It makes you focus on the storm clouds and forget the steady ground beneath your feet. Think of a child walking through a dark room. The shapes in the shadows appear larger than they truly are. Ordinary objects seem threatening. But when the light is turned on, nothing has changed except visibility. The room was never as dangerous as it seemed. In the same way, my beloved child, when my truth shines into your heart, fear begins to shrink. You realize that many of the threats you imagined were projections, not realities. I have not given you a spirit that is ruled by fear. I have placed within you love, power, and a sound mind. When fear tries to convince you that you are incapable, remember the times you have already overcome. When fear tells you the future is uncertain, remember that I stand outside of time, holding what is ahead. Fear will tell you that you must control every detail before you move. But trust reminds you that you are not alone in the process. Fear says, what if it all falls apart? Faith says, what if it all comes together? You cannot always stop fear from knocking. But you do not have to invite it in and give it a seat at your table. When fearful thoughts arise, bring them into the light of truth. Ask yourself whether they align with my character, whether they reflect my love for you. My beloved child, I do not guide you into traps. I do not whisper confusion. When I lead, there is peace beneath the challenge. There is clarity beneath the unknown. The next time fear begins to distort what I am doing, pause. Breathe. Separate the static from the signal. Let my promises steady you. You are more capable than fear allows you to believe. You are more prepared than doubt suggests. And when you allow love to lead instead of fear, you will begin to see my answers clearly again. The message has never changed. My guidance has never faltered. It is simply time to lower the volume of fear so you can hear my voice without distortion. My beloved child, there is another reason you have struggled to recognize my answers. You were looking for thunder, while I was speaking in a whisper. You expected something dramatic. You imagined that when I answered you, it would shake your world. You thought there would be no room for doubt, no space for questions. You waited for a sign so powerful that it would silence every fear instantly. But I do not always move through spectacle. Often, I move through stillness. There was a prophet once who stood on a mountain waiting for me. A mighty wind tore through the rocks. The ground shook with an earthquake. Fire blazed across the landscape. Yet I was not in the wind, nor in the quake, nor in the fire. I came as a gentle whisper. In the same way, my beloved child, you have been listening for noise when I have been offering quiet clarity. The world around you is loud. Opinions shout. News overwhelms. Comparisons flood your thoughts. In all that noise, you assume that anything significant must also be loud. But my voice does not compete with chaos. It invites you into calm. You prayed for direction, and I gave you a subtle sense of peace about one option over another. You asked for confirmation, and I gave you a steady feeling rather than a dramatic sign. You wanted fireworks, but I offered stillness. Peace is often my language. When something is not right for you, there is a tightening within, an unease that lingers. But when something aligns, even if it is challenging, there is a quiet steadiness underneath. It does not always remove nerves. It does not always eliminate uncertainty, but it anchors you. You have overlooked this peace because it felt too simple. You thought, if this were truly from God, it would be undeniable. Yet I speak in ways that require relationship, not spectacle. I desire closeness, not just attention. Imagine sitting beside a loving father. He does not need to shout into your ear to be heard. A gentle word is enough because you trust his voice. In the same way, I am inviting you to recognize the familiarity of my whisper. The whisper requires you to slow down. It requires you to quiet distractions. It requires you to be present. And in that stillness, you begin to notice the difference between anxiety and guidance, between impulse and intention. My beloved child, I do not need to overwhelm you to guide you. I do not need to startle you to prove my presence. Often, the softest lead is the safest. There have been times when you dismissed something because it did not feel dramatic. You waited for a louder sign and missed the gentle one. But I am patient. I continue to nod. I continue to whisper. If you want to hear me more clearly, create space for quiet. Step away from constant noise. Pay attention to the steady sense of rightness that rises without force. That is often where I am speaking. Do not measure the validity of my guidance by its volume. Measure it by the peace it carries. My beloved child, I am not distant. I am not withholding clarity. I am inviting you into deeper attentiveness. You were waiting for thunder, but the answer has been resting in a whisper all along. My beloved child, there were paths you walked that you now call detours. You look back at certain seasons and wonder why you went that way. You replay decisions and think, if only I had chosen differently. You question whether you wasted time, whether you delayed your own progress, whether you stepped outside of my plan. But listen to me gently. What you call a detour, I often call development. Imagine a traveler setting out toward a distant city. He studies the map and chooses what appears to be the fastest route. But along the way, he encounters unexpected road closures. He is forced to turn down unfamiliar streets. At first he feels frustrated. The new path is longer. It winds through places he did not intend to see. Yet along that road, he gains skills, meets people, and discovers insights he would never have found on the straight highway. By the time he reaches his destination, he is not the same person who began the journey. My beloved child, there are lessons that can only be learned off the main road. You may look at certain chapters of your life and label them mistakes. Relationships that did not last. Careers that shifted. Choices that did not unfold as expected. But I have never been limited by your imperfections. I am able to weave even your missteps into something meaningful. You think in straight lines. I see in patterns. There were things you needed to learn about yourself. Strengths you had not yet discovered. Boundaries you needed to understand. Compassion you could only gain through experience. Those detours shape you. If you had arrived at your current season without those lessons, you would not be as prepared. The wisdom you now carry did not form in comfort alone. It formed through trial and reflection. Do you remember the sculptor I spoke of before? When he chisels stone, pieces fall away that once seemed essential. From the outside, it can look like destruction, but the sculptor sees the form emerging. Every strike of the tool reveals more of the intended image. In the same way, the paths you took, even the ones you regret, have carved a depth into you. They have revealed resilience. They have uncovered clarity about what truly matters. You worry that you have fallen behind, that others moved straight ahead while you wandered. But you are not behind in my design. Time is not wasted when growth is happening. A tree that bends in the wind is not failing. It is learning flexibility. A river that curves around obstacles is not lost. It is adapting its course. What appears indirect can still lead exactly where it needs to go. My beloved child, I am not surprised by your choices. I am not shaken by your uncertainty. I am present even in your learning moments. When you turned down roads that were not ideal, I walked with you. When you stumbled, I steadied you. When you felt confused, I quietly redirected you. Nothing in your story is beyond redemption. Nothing is too tangled for me to untangle. You may not understand now why certain seasons unfolded the way they did. But one day, you will see how each experience added dimension to your character. You will see how empathy grew in you, how discernment sharpened, how courage developed. The detour was not the end of your journey. It was part of the shaping. My beloved child, release the weight of regret. Stop punishing yourself for paths that taught you something valuable. I am not disappointed in you. I am refining you. Even the roads you did not plan have been used in my hands, and they have brought you closer to becoming who you were always meant to be. My beloved child, while you were waiting for something around you to change, I was strengthening something within you. You have often measured progress by visible results. You look for open doors, financial increase, restored relationships, clear breakthroughs, and when those things seem delayed, you assume nothing is happening. But there is a kind of growth that cannot be photographed. There is a kind of strength that forms quietly, without applause. While you were waiting, I was building endurance in you. Do you remember how quickly discouragement used to overwhelm you? How easily a single setback could steal your peace for days? Look at you now. You still feel disappointment, but it does not consume you the same way. You still face challenges, but you do not collapse as you once did. That change did not happen by accident. Think of an athlete training for a long race. Day after day, they run without a crowd. They push through fatigue without a medal waiting at the end of each session. The progress is slow and often invisible, but muscles strengthen, lungs expand, stamina increases. By the time the race arrives, they are capable of more than they were when they began. In the same way, my beloved child, the waiting season has been your training ground. You thought you were sub. I knew you were being prepared. Every time you chose patience instead of panic, your endurance grew. Every time you trusted me without immediate answers, your faith deepened. Every time you resisted bitterness after disappointment, your character strengthened. Strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is simply the decision to wake up and try again. Sometimes it is the refusal to give up hope when circumstances feel unchanged. Sometimes it is the quiet resolve to keep believing that I am working, even when you cannot see evidence yet. You may not see the difference clearly, but others do. They notice your steadiness. They sense your calm in situations that once would have unsettled you. They see resilience where there used to be doubt. My beloved child, I was fortifying you for what lies ahead. There are blessings that require stability. There are opportunities that demand maturity. There are responsibilities that need emotional strength. If I had given them to you before this season of growth, you might have felt overwhelmed. Waiting was not wasted time. It was strengthening time. Consider how a building is reinforced before additional floors are added. Engineers ensure the foundation can carry more weight. They test its strength. They reinforce it where necessary. Only then do they build higher. You have been in a reinforcement season. When you felt overlooked, I was teaching you humility without insecurity. When you felt uncertain, I was teaching you reliance on me rather than on control. When you felt tired, I was teaching you how to rest without quitting. These are quiet victories, but they matter deeply. My beloved child, do not dismiss the growth that has taken place within you simply because it did not arrive with celebration. Inner transformation is often the greatest miracle. The next chapter of your life will require the strength you have been developing. You will handle pressure differently. You will approach decisions with more clarity. You will face challenges with steadier hands. And when the time comes, you will look back at this waiting season and realize that it was not empty. It was forming you. I have been strengthening you while you waited. I have been preparing you while you wondered. And the strength you now carry is evidence that my answers were already at work inside you. My beloved child, there were storms you begged me to calm. You asked me to remove the wind, to silence the thunder, to smooth the waves immediately. And when the storm continued, you wondered why I had not answered. But what if the storm was carrying the answer? Think of a ship caught in strong currents. From the deck, the crew feels instability. The waves rise high. The sky darkens. It feels dangerous. Yet beneath the surface, powerful currents are moving the vessel toward a destination faster than calm waters ever could. You saw chaos. I saw movement. Storms have a way of stripping away illusions. They reveal what is secure and what is fragile. They expose where you have placed your trust. And though they feel uncomfortable, they are rarely meaningless. There were challenges that forced you to grow quickly. Situations that required you to develop courage you did not know you possessed. Conversations that demanded honesty. Decisions that required clarity. You would not have reached for that strength if the sky had remained clear. My beloved child, storms often push you out of complacency. When everything feels predictable, it is easy to remain where you are. But when winds begin to blow, you are forced to adjust your sails. You reassess your direction. You hold tighter to what truly matters. The storm you feared was not sent to destroy you. It was allowed to reposition you. Consider how rain, though messy and inconvenient, nourishes the earth. Without storms, fields would dry and crops would fail. Growth depends on both sunshine and rain. In the same way, your development depends on both peace and challenge. You prayed for depth, but depth is carved through pressure. You prayed for resilience, but resilience forms through resistance. You prayed for faith, but faith strengthens when you must trust without immediate relief. While you were asking me to remove the storm, I was teaching you to find peace within it. There is a difference between outer calm and inner calm. Outer calm depends on circumstances. Your calm depends on trust. When you discovered that you could breathe, think, and choose wisely even while the winds howled around you, you were experiencing transformation. My beloved child, the storm revealed your strength. You handled more than you believed you could. You endured days that once would have overwhelmed you. You navigated uncertainty with more stability than before. That was not accidental. That was growth rising through adversity. And sometimes, the storm was not only shaping you, it was clearing your path. Strong winds remove dead branches. Heavy rains wash away debris. After the storm passes, the air feels different. Glitter. Fade. What once obstructed your view may no longer be there. In the same way, certain storms removed distractions from your life. They ended attachments that were no longer healthy. They shifted priorities. They clarified what truly matters to you. You may not have chosen the storm, but I was present within it. When the waves felt too high, I was steady. When fear tried to rise, I whispered peace. When you felt small against the wind, I held you in strength you could not see. My beloved child, storms are not signs of my absence. They are often seasons of acceleration and refinement. Do not despise the wind that pushed you forward. Do not resent the rain that watered your roots. Even the thunder that startled you carried lessons you needed. The storm was not meant to sink you. It was carrying you closer to the shore you prayed to reach. And as you step into calmer waters now, you will begin to see that what felt like chaos was part of the answer unfolding in motion. My beloved child, there were moments you called setbacks. You looked at what happened and thought, this has pushed me backward. You saw delays. You saw obstacles. You saw plans unraveling. And you felt the weight of disappointment settle over your heart. But what you called a setback, I often used as shaping. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. To an outside observer, the sculptor appears to be damaging the stone. With every strike of the hammer, pieces fall away. Yes, scatters. The block becomes smaller, not larger. If the stone could feel, it might believe it was being reduced, diminished, broken apart. Yet the sculptor is not destroying. He is revealing. Every piece that falls away makes space for the form within to emerge. What seems like loss is actually refinement. What seems like regression is actually progress toward clarity. My beloved child, when something in your life seemed to fall apart, you believed you were being reduced. You thought opportunity was shrinking. You thought momentum was disappearing. But I was chiseling away what did not belong in your future. There were habits that needed to loosen their hold. Patterns of thinking that needed to shift. Attachments that quietly limited your growth. When circumstances disrupted your plans, it was not always to harm you. Sometimes it was to reshape you. You may not have seen beauty in those moments. You saw frustration. You saw embarrassment. You saw confusion. But I saw potential. A setback often reveals what cannot endure. It tests the foundation. It exposes weak spots that require strengthening. And though that exposure can feel uncomfortable, it is a gift. It prevents greater collapse later. Think of a building under renovation. Walls are torn down. Floors are removed. The structure looks incomplete. Anyone walking through might question whether progress is being made. Yet beneath the visible disruption, the building is being improved. Faulty wiring is replaced. Structural weaknesses are reinforced. What emerges afterward is stronger and safer. In the same way, my beloved child, some of your setbacks were renovations. You believe you were losing ground, but I was reinforcing your foundation. You thought you were being delayed, but I was redirecting your energy toward what would last. There were goals you pursued that did not unfold as expected. At the time, you felt rejected. But perhaps those goals were too small for who you are becoming. Perhaps they would have confined you rather than expanded you. Setbacks have a way of humbling you, yes, but they also deepen you. They teach you to rely not only on success, but on character. They teach you to separate your identity from your achievements. My beloved child, you are not defined by how quickly you advance. You are shaped by how you respond when advancement pauses. You have grown more resilient through setbacks than you ever would have through constant ease. You have learned to adapt, to persevere, to reassess without surrendering your hope. What appeared to be a closed chapter was often a revision, a redirection towards something better aligned with your true path. Do not be discouraged by what did not work out. Do not label yourself as behind. I am not measuring your life by temporary detours. I am shaping a masterpiece, one careful refinement at a time. The pieces that fell away were not essential to your destiny. They were fragments that needed removal so the fuller image could emerge. My beloved child, trust the sculpting process. Even when it feels like loss, I am revealing something more beautiful than you can yet imagine. My beloved child, there have been nights when you lay awake, and your mind wandered into places you could not fully explain. Images for ideas surface. Desires stirred quietly within you. You wondered if they were just imagination. You questioned whether they mattered. But sometimes, I whisper through your dreams. Not every dream is a message, but not every dream is random either. When your heart is quiet and the noise of the day has faded, deeper truths can rise. In those moments, you are less guarded, less distracted, more open. And it is often there that I plant vision. You have carried certain desires for years. They return again and again, even after you try to dismiss them. A longing to create something meaningful. A burden to help a particular group of people. A vision of a different kind of life. Simpler, freer, more aligned with who you truly are. You have tried to talk yourself out of these things, calling them unrealistic or impractical. But my beloved child, pay attention to what persists. A seed does not push through soil in a single day. It grows slowly, quietly, consistently. In the same way, the dreams I place within you may not demand immediate action, but they remain. They nudge. They return. They refuse to disappear. You often assume that if something is from me, it must be dramatic or unmistakable. But sometimes my guidance feels like a gentle pull toward what brings life to your spirit. It feels like clarity that surfaces in stillness. It feels like an idea that excites you and frightens you at the same time. There were moments when you imagined stepping into something new. You pictured yourself living differently. You sensed a future that looked unfamiliar yet deeply right. And then doubt rushed in. You questioned your ability. You wondered about timing. You feared failure. But imagination can be a doorway. I am the one who designed your creativity. I am the one who formed your unique perspective. The visions that align with compassion, growth, integrity, and service are not accidents. They reflect parts of you I carefully crafted. Think of an architect who first draws a blueprint before any building begins. The structure exists in vision before it exists in reality. In the same way, some of the pictures forming in your heart are blueprints. They may not unfold all at once. They may require preparation, patience, and practical steps. But do not dismiss them simply because they feel distant. My beloved child, discernment is important. Not every impulse deserves pursuit, but dreams that align with peace, that awaken purpose, that invite you to grow rather than shrink, these deserve your attention. There have been times when I gave you clarity in a quiet moment, a realization that seemed to settle gently into your thoughts. It was not loud. It was not forced. It simply felt right. Those moments are sacred. Do not underestimate what happens when your heart and spirit align in stillness. That alignment is often where vision is born. You may not yet see how the dream connects to your present circumstances, but trust that I am able to guide you step by step. A dream does not require immediate completion to be valid. It requires nurturing. My beloved child, listen to the desires that refuse to fade. Pay attention to the ideas that return with peace. Bring them before me not with fear, but with openness. The answers you seek are not always outside you. Sometimes they are seated in the quiet landscapes of your heart, waiting for courage and trust to bring them into the light. My beloved child, there is one answer I have sent you that felt nothing like what you expected. It did not look like opportunity. It did not look like success. It did not even look like relief. It looked like forgiveness. You prayed for freedom. You prayed for peace. You prayed for the heaviness to lift from your heart. And I began whispering to you about letting go. At first, you resisted. You told yourself the pain was justified. You replayed the words that wounded you. You remembered the betrayal, the disappointment, the unfairness. You carried those memories like stones in your hands. They felt heavy, but they also felt familiar. Forgiveness seemed like surrender. It felt like excusing what was wrong. It felt like saying the hurt did not matter. But my beloved child, forgiveness is not pretending the wound never happened. It is releasing the hold it has over you. Imagine carrying a heavy chain around your shoulders. Every step becomes harder. Every movement requires effort. The chain may have been placed there by someone else's actions, but you are the one bearing its weight. When I invite you to forgive, I am not dismissing your pain. I am offering to unlock the chain. There were nights when bitterness kept your thoughts restless, when anger surfaced unexpectedly, when old conversations replayed in your mind as if they had just happened. You thought holding on to those memories would protect you from future hurt. But instead, they kept you tied to the past. My beloved child, forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength. It takes courage to release what hurt you. It takes maturity to choose peace over resentment. You feared that forgiving meant trusting again immediately. It does not. Boundaries can remain. Wisdom can guide you. Forgiveness does not erase discernment. It simply frees your heart from carrying what no longer serves you. Think of a garden overrun with weeds. The weeds draw nutrients away from the healthy plants. They choke growth. If left unattended, they take over the entire space. Forgiveness is like removing those weeds. It creates room for new life to grow. When you forgive, you are not saying the wrong was right. You are saying your heart deserves peace more than it deserves revenge. There is a quiet strength that enters you when you release resentment, a lightness that replaces heaviness, a clarity that returns when anger no longer clouds your vision. My beloved child, some of the answers you have been waiting for are tied to your willingness to let go. Peace cannot fully settle in a heart that is constantly reliving injury. Freedom cannot thrive where bitterness is rooted. You may not be able to change what happened. You may not receive the apology you hoped for. But you can choose not to let the past define your present. Forgiveness is not a single moment. Sometimes it is a process. Sometimes you must choose it again and again. And each time you do, the chain loosens a little more. I am not asking you to deny your pain. I am inviting you to release it into my hands. I am strong enough to carry what wounded you. My beloved child, the answer to your prayer for peace may not have been a change in them. It may have been a change in you. A softened heart, a freed spirit, a willingness to step forward without dragging yesterday behind you. When you forgive, you open the door to healing. And healing is part of the answer I have been sending all along. My beloved child, there is another answer I have placed gently in your hands, though at first it did not feel like a gift. It felt uncomfortable. It felt unfamiliar. It felt almost selfish. The answer came in the form of boundaries. You have always wanted to be kind. You have wanted to help, to serve, to be available. You feared disappointing others. You feared being misunderstood. So you often said yes when your heart was quietly saying no. You stretched yourself thin. You gave beyond what was healthy. And then you wondered why you felt drained. When you prayed for peace, I began teaching you to guard it. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you. They are fences meant to protect what is valuable. A garden without a fence may be beautiful, but it becomes vulnerable. Anyone can trample through it. Animals can consume what was meant to grow. A fence does not remove the beauty. It preserves it. In the same way, my beloved child, I have been teaching you to protect your time, your energy, your heart. There were moments when you sensed that a situation was demanding more than you could give. You felt tension rising within. Yet you ignored it because you did not want to appear unkind. But that inner tension was not guilt. It was wisdom. You cannot pour endlessly without refilling. You cannot carry everyone's burdens while neglecting your own soul. When you prayed for balance, I began nudging you toward healthy limits. Saying no does not make you unloving. It makes you honest. It creates space for you to give freely rather than resentfully. It allows your yes to be meaningful instead of exhausted. There were relationships that required you to redefine access. Conversations where you needed to speak clearly about what you could and could not accept. You hesitated because confrontation felt uncomfortable. But clarity often prevents deeper pain later. My beloved child, boundaries are an act of stewardship. You are responsible for the life I entrusted to you. Your heart is not meant to be overrun by constant chaos. Your mind is not meant to carry every expectation placed upon you. When you establish limits, you are honoring the design I created within you. Think of the shoreline. The ocean has boundaries. Without them, water would overwhelm the land. The boundary creates harmony. It allows both to exist beautifully without destruction. In the same way, your boundaries create harmony in your life. You may worry that others will misunderstand. Some might. But those who truly value you will learn to respect the space you create. And even when they struggle to understand, your peace is not dependent on their approval. Boundaries do not mean closing your heart. They mean choosing where and how it is opened. They mean discerning when to step in and when to step back. My beloved child, when you began setting boundaries, you may have felt guilt. But over time, you likely noticed something else emerging: calm, clarity, strength. That calm is not selfishness. It is alignment. You prayed for a life that felt sustainable, for relationships that were mutual rather than one-sided, for energy that lasted beyond a single day. Boundaries are part of that answer. You are not required to carry what was never assigned to you. You are not obligated to sacrifice your well-being to prove your love. Love flourishes best when it is given freely, not forced. My beloved child, do not fear the space you create. Do not apologize for protecting your peace. Healthy limits are not rejection. They are wisdom in action. The answer you sought was not always about changing others. Sometimes it was about strengthening yourself. And in learning to set boundaries, You are stepping into a deeper form of freedom, one that allows you to live, love, and serve without losing yourself in the process. My beloved child, through every delay, every whisper, every closed door and open window, I have been teaching you something deeper than you realized. I have been teaching you to hear me. At first, you wanted clear instructions, loud signs, unmistakable signals. You wanted a voice that removed all doubt instantly. But relationship is not built on constant spectacle. It is built on familiarity. When a child grows up hearing a father's voice, he does not need the father to announce his name every time. He recognizes the tone. He knows the rhythm. Even in a crowded room, he can distinguish it. In the same way, I have been training your spirit to recognize my voice among many others. There are many voices in your world. Opinions from friends, expectations from society, memories from your past, fears about your future. Each one speaks with confidence, trying to shape your decisions. And in the beginning, it felt overwhelming. You were unsure which voice to trust. But slowly, through experience, you began to notice patterns. You noticed that my guidance carries peace, even when it challenges you. It does not shame you. It does not rush you into panic. It may stretch you, but it steadies you at the same time. You notice that when something is not aligned, there is a quiet resistance within you, a discomfort that lingers no matter how logical the option appears. That resistance is not weakness. It is discernment forming. Discernment is like learning a new language. At first, you struggle to understand. You misinterpret. You question. But with practice, clarity grows. You begin to recognize what resonates with truth and what does not. My beloved child, you have grown in this more than you know. There were times when you paused before reacting. Times when you waited instead of rushing. Times when you sensed that something was not right and chose to step back. That was maturity. That was awareness. I have not only been answering your prayers, I have been developing your ability to listen. Think of a musician learning to tune an instrument. In the beginning, the sounds may seem similar, but with time, the ear becomes trained. A musician can detect the slightest difference between harmony and dissonance. In the same way, your spirit is becoming more sensitive to alignment and misalignment. You are beginning to trust the quiet nudge instead of dismissing it. You are learning to differentiate between fear and wisdom. You are recognizing when your ego is speaking and when your spirit is guiding. This growth is precious. You once doubted whether you could truly hear me. You wondered if you were imagining things. But the more you leaned into stillness, the more you noticed that my voice is consistent. It reflects love. It aligns with integrity. It leads you toward life. My beloved child, I am not hiding from you. I am inviting you into deeper sensitivity. The more you listen, the clearer it becomes. The more you trust, the stronger your discernment grows. You will not always get everything perfect. But even when you misinterpret, I am able to redirect you gently. Hearing me is not about perfection. It is about relationship. And as you continue forward, you will realize that the confusion that once dominated your thoughts has lessened. In its place, there is growing confidence, not arrogance, not stubbornness, but a quiet assurance. That assurance comes from knowing my character, knowing that I am for you, knowing that I guide with love. My beloved child, the answer was never meant to be a single event. It has been an ongoing conversation, and you are learning, day by day, how to hear me more clearly. My beloved child, there is something beautiful you have not fully seen yet. The waiting did not just test you, it changed you. When you first entered that season of uncertainty, you felt fragile. Every delay felt personal. Every silence felt heavy. You questioned yourself more than you trusted yourself. You wondered whether you had missed something, whether you were falling behind, whether you were not enough. But you are not the same person now as you were then. Waiting has a way of revealing what is shallow and strengthening what is deep. At the beginning, you may have relied heavily on visible reassurance. You needed quick results to feel secure. You needed constant confirmation to feel steady. But as time passed and the answers did not come as fast as you hoped, something inside you began to adjust. You began to endure. At first, endurance felt like survival. Just getting through the day. Just holding on a little longer. But over time, endurance became resilience. And resilience became confidence. Think of iron placed in fire. The heat does not destroy it. It refines it. It removes impurities. It strengthens the structure. The same fire that could have melted something weaker instead fortifies what is strong. In the same way, the heat of waiting has refined you. You no longer react to every obstacle the way you once did. You no longer panic at every uncertainty. You have learned to breathe in the middle of tension. You have learned that discomfort does not mean disaster. You have learned that unanswered questions do not mean abandoned promises. My beloved child, that is growth. You may still have moments of doubt. You may still feel tired at times. But there is a steadiness in you now that was not there before. A deeper trust. A quieter mind. A stronger heart. The waiting taught you patience, but not the passive kind. It taught you active trust. It taught you to keep moving forward even without full clarity. It taught you to find joy in small steps. It taught you to rest without giving up. You have become less fragile and more grounded. When storms arise now, you do not assume the worst as quickly. When doors close, you do not collapse as deeply. When silence lingers, you do not interpret it as rejection so easily. That shift did not happen overnight. It happened through experience. My beloved child, you are not who you were, and that is a gift. Sometimes you wish the waiting had been shorter. Sometimes you wish the lessons had been easier. But if the season had been easier, would the transformation have been as deep? A tree that grows slowly often grows stronger roots. It withstands wind better than one that shot up too quickly. In the same way, your slower growth has made you stable. You may not celebrate this change because it feels subtle. But I see it clearly. I see the maturity in your decisions. I see the humility in your reflections. I see the courage in your continued effort. The waiting changed you from someone seeking constant rescue into someone discovering inner strength. It shifted you from fear-driven reactions to thoughtful responses. It deepened your compassion for others who struggle. My beloved child, do not overlook who you have become. A season that once felt endless was shaping you into someone more resilient, more patient, more discerning, more whole. And as you step into what comes next, you will carry the transformation with you. You did not just survive the waiting. You were formed by it. And the strength now rooted within you will sustain you in ways you could not have imagined before. My beloved child, I want you to pause with me now and look back. Not with regret, not with shame, but with gentle awareness. So often you move forward without realizing how far you have already come. You focus on what is still unanswered, what is still unfolding, what is still uncertain. But if you turn your eyes behind you for a moment, you will begin to see evidence of my faithfulness written across your story. There were prayers you cried years ago that you have forgotten. desperate prayers, specific prayers, prayers you whispered through tears. And today, you are standing in answers you once begged for. You prayed for strength when you felt weak. Now you carry resilience that once seemed impossible. You prayed for clarity in confusion. Now you navigate decisions with more discernment than before. You prayed for peace in chaos. Now your heart steadies more quickly when storms arise. At the time, you thought nothing was happening. But look again. Think of connecting dots on a page. When you look at a single dot, it appears meaningless. But when you step back and see how each dot connects, a picture begins to form. In the same way, individual seasons of your life may have seemed random, but viewed together, they reveal design. That rejection you once mourned redirected you to something better aligned. The friendship that ended taught you what you truly value. The job that did not last opened space for growth you did not expect. That period of loneliness deepened your relationship with me. None of it was wasted. My beloved child, reflection is powerful. It reminds you that you have survived more than you thought you would. It shows you that what once terrified you did not defeat you. It reveals that I have been present even when you doubted. You often ask me for reassurance about the future, but reassurance can also be found in your past. The same one who carried you through yesterday is holding you today. Look at how your mindset has shifted. Look at how your boundaries are stronger. Look at how your faith has matured. Look at how your reactions have softened or strengthened in healthy ways. You did not arrive here by accident. Even the painful chapters contributed to the person you are now. They shape your compassion. They deepened your wisdom. They refined your priorities. Imagine walking through a valley and feeling surrounded by towering mountains. In the moment, your view is limited. But when you climb higher and look back, you see the path winding behind you. You see how each turn led to the next. You see how obstacles actually guided your direction. In the same way, when you rise above your immediate concerns and look back over your life, you begin to see the path more clearly. My beloved child, gratitude grows when perspective shifts. You may still have unanswered questions. You may still have desires waiting to unfold. But do not overlook the evidence already in your hands. You are not where you once were. The fears that once controlled you no longer dominate you in the same way. The uncertainty that once paralyzed you now motivates growth. The dependence you once had on immediate answers has matured into steadier trust. I have been with you through it all. As you look back, let your heart soften with gratitude rather than harden with regret. See how I have guided you. See how I have sustained you. See how I have gently woven even your mistakes into something meaningful. My beloved child, the past is not proof of your failure. It is evidence of my faithfulness. And if I have carried you this far, you can trust that I will continue guiding you forward, one purposeful step at a time. My beloved child, there is a quiet burden you have carried that I want to lift from your shoulders. You have believed it, at times, that you are behind. You look at others and measure their milestones against your own. You see achievements, relationships, stability, recognition. You compare timelines. You compare progress. And somewhere deep within, a whisper forms, I should be further by now. But who told you there was only one schedule? You were never meant to live by someone else's clock. I did not design your life as a copy of another's. I wrote a unique rhythm into your journey. Imagine a garden filled with different plants. Some bloom early in the season. Others take longer to rise. Some grow tall and visible. Others remain low to the ground, spreading quietly. Yet each one fulfills its purpose in its own time. The rose does not accuse the oak of growing too slowly. The oak does not envy the lily for blooming quickly. They simply grow according to their design. In the same way, my beloved child, your timeline is not wrong because it differs from someone else's. There have been seasons when you felt delayed, when doors opened for others and remained closed for you, when announcements celebrated others while your life felt quiet. And in those moments, comparison tried to convince you that you were lacking. But comparison distorts truth. You do not see the full story of those you compare yourself to. You see highlights, not hidden struggles. You see outcomes, not private battles. You measure yourself against an incomplete picture. My beloved child, your path has required preparation unique to you. There are lessons you needed that others did not. There are strengths being formed in you that require time. There are responsibilities ahead that demand maturity. If I rushed your journey to match someone else's pace, I would disrupt what I am carefully building within you. Think of a craftsman shaping a piece of wood. Some pieces require more sanding. Some need more carving. The process is not identical for each creation. But the craftsman does not abandon one piece because it takes longer. He invests the necessary time to ensure it becomes exactly what it was intended to be. You are not late. You are being shaped. The delays you experienced were not signs of inferiority. They were seasons of refinement. The quiet chapters were not evidence of insignificance. They were times of foundation building. My beloved child, release the pressure to catch up. You are not racing against anyone. Your value is not measured by speed. Your worth is not determined by visible success. There are blessings that require the depth you now carry. There are opportunities that will line perfectly with who you have become. And when they arrive, they will not feel rushed or borrowed. They will feel fitting. You have not missed your destiny. You have not wandered too far. You have not fallen behind in my design. Even the years you question have added something essential to you. Patience, insight, compassion, strength. These are not wasted traits. They are assets for your future. My beloved child, trust the rhythm I have set for your life. When doubt whispers that you are behind, answer it with truth. You are exactly where you need to be for this moment. And as you continue forward, the path will unfold at the right pace. You are not delayed. You are developing. And when you finally stand in the fullness of what I have prepared for you, you will understand that the timing was not accidental. It was intentional. It was precise. It was loving. You are not behind. You are becoming. My beloved child, as you stand in this present moment, no longer who you were, not yet fully where you are going, I want you to lift your eyes toward what is ahead. You have spent so much time looking back, examining the lessons, healing the wounds, understanding the shaping, and that reflection has been necessary. But now I want to stir something new within you. Expectation. Not anxious expectation. Not pressure-filled striving. But quiet, confident anticipation. The next answer is already on its way. Just as seeds were planted in past seasons that took time to grow, there are things already in motion for you now. Conversations being prepared. Opportunities forming. Alignments unfolding behind the scenes. You may not see them yet, but they are moving toward you. Think of dawn before sunrise. The sky is still dark, but light is already approaching the horizon. The earth does not panic because it cannot see the sun yet. It trusts the rhythm of morning. In the same way, trust that what I have promised will arrive in its time. You have learned patience. You have learned resilience. You have learned discernment. Now it is time to learn expectation without fear. Sometimes, after long seasons of waiting, it becomes difficult to hope again. You protect your heart by lowering your expectations. You tell yourself not to anticipate too much, so you will not be disappointed. But my beloved child, guarded hope can limit joy. I do not ask you to ignore wisdom. I ask you to remain open. There are doors you once knocked on that were not meant for you. But there are doors ahead that are designed with your name in mind. There are spaces where your gifts will not only fit, they will flourish. You have been prepared for what is coming. Think of a musician who has practiced in private for years. Long hours, repetition, refinement. When the opportunity finally comes to perform on a larger stage, it may look sudden to others. But it is not sudden. It is the visible result of hidden preparation. In the same way, when your next chapter begins to unfold, it will not be random. It will be connected to everything you have learned. My beloved child, lift your posture from discouragement to anticipation. Do not cling so tightly to the pain of the past that you miss the promise of what is forming. I am not finished writing your story. There are relationships that will bring depth rather than confusion. There are opportunities that will challenge you without diminishing you. There are seasons of peace that will feel steady, not temporary. The waiting you endured was not empty. It was groundwork. Even now, I am aligning timing in ways you cannot measure. I am guiding events in ways you cannot track. What feels still may actually be gathering momentum. Do not assume that because something has not happened yet, it will not happen at all. My timing is precise. My plans are not rushed. And what I bring into your life will not require you to lose yourself to receive it. My beloved child, allow yourself to hope again. Stand with confidence that your future is not blank. It is being written with intention. Expect goodness without demanding control. Trust the process without losing courage. The next answer is not far away. It is moving closer with every step you take in faith. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit steady. What is ahead will not simply meet you. It will confirm that every lesson, every delay, every whisper was leading you here. My beloved child, as you step into this new posture of expectation, there is something I want you to carry carefully. Trust the way I speak. You have learned that I do not always answer through thunder. You have seen that I often guide through whispers, through peace, through subtle alignment. You have discovered that closed doors can be protection, that silence can be preparation, that restlessness can be redirection. Now I want you to remember these patterns. When confusion rises, return to what you have already learned about my character. I am not chaotic. I am not cruel. I do not dangle hope before you only to withdraw it. When I lead, there is coherence. When I guide, there is integrity. You may not always understand immediately, but you can recognize consistency. Think of a child who has walked with a loving father for many years. The child may not know every destination in advance, but he recognizes the father's pace, tone, and presence. Even when the path turns unexpectedly, he is not as afraid because he trusts who is leading him. My beloved child, you have walked with me long enough to know my heart. There were times when you doubted that I was speaking at all. Now you are beginning to discern my rhythm. The peace that settles without pressure. The caution that arises without panic. The clarity that grows quietly rather than loudly. Trust these things. You will still encounter noise in the world. Opinions will compete for your attention. Urgency will try to rush you. Fear will attempt to distort what I am doing. but you are no longer unfamiliar with my voice. Return to stillness when you need clarity. Breathe when decisions feel heavy. Listen beneath the surface of emotion for the steadiness of truth. When something aligns with love, growth, integrity, and peace, even if it stretches you, it often carries my fingerprint. When something demands that you betray your values, shrink your spirit, or rush without reflection, pause. I do not pressure. I invite. You once thought that following me required constant intensity, but following me often requires awareness. It is less about dramatic moments and more about daily attentiveness. There will be seasons ahead that look different from the ones behind you. New opportunities, new relationships, new challenges, and in each one my guidance will still carry the same essence. If I whisper, lean in. If I redirect, trust. If I close a door, release it. If I open one, walk through with courage. You do not need to second-guess every step. You do not need to overanalyze every impression. Confidence grows as you practice listening. Imagine walking along a path at dusk with a small lantern. The lantern does not illuminate miles ahead. It shows enough for the next few steps. And as you walk, the light moves with you. That is how I lead you. My beloved child, trust the way I speak because it is rooted in love. Trust the patterns you have observed because they reveal my consistency. Trust that even when circumstances change, my character does not. You are not navigating life alone. You are not guessing blindly. You are learning to walk in relationship. And as you continue forward, the more you respond to my gentle guidance, the more natural it will feel. What once seemed uncertain will begin to feel familiar. I have been speaking all along. Now you are recognizing the language. Keep listening. Keep trusting. The path will continue to unfold in the quiet confidence of our ongoing conversation. My beloved child, there is one final posture I want you to embrace as you move forward. Open your hands. For so long, you have tried to hold everything tightly. Your plans, your expectations, your timelines, your fears, even your disappointments. You clenched them because you believed that if you loosened your grip, everything might fall apart. But clenched hands cannot receive. Imagine a traveler carrying heavy bags in both hands. When someone offers him something valuable, he cannot take it without first setting something down. The problem is not the gift. The problem is that his hands are already full. In the same way, my beloved child, sometimes you struggle to receive what I am giving because you are still gripping what must be released. You hold tightly to control, believing that if you calculate every outcome, you can prevent pain. You hold tightly to past wounds, believing that if you remember them constantly, you will not be hurt again. You hold tightly to expectations, believing that if life does not match your vision, it has failed. But open hands are hands of trust. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means giving over. It means acknowledging that you do not have to carry every outcome alone. It means trusting that I see what you cannot. When you open your hands, you create space for peace. You create room for new beginnings. You allow flexibility where once there was rigidity. Think of a river flowing freely. It does not cling to each bend in the path. It moves with the terrain, trusting the direction of its course. If it tried to resist every curve, it would become stagnant. You have grown through waiting. You have learned through storms. You have strengthened through setbacks. Now I am inviting you into surrender. Release the need to control every detail of your future. Release the fear that something good will slip away if you do not guard it constantly. Release the regret that keeps replaying what cannot be changed. Open your hands. When you release control, you do not lose security. You gain freedom. You shift from striving to trusting, from tension to steadiness. My beloved child, you were never meant to carry the entire weight of your life on your own shoulders. You were meant to walk with me. Open hands also symbolize willingness. Willingness to receive new direction. Willingness to accept unexpected blessings. Willingness to let go of what no longer aligns. There may be things you still fear losing, but trust this. What is truly meant for you will not require you to grip it in anxiety. What aligns with your purpose will remain as you walk forward in peace. Clenched hands reflect fear of scarcity. Open hands reflect confidence in provision. You have seen my faithfulness in the past. You have experienced my guidance in quiet ways. Now let that history give you courage to loosen your grip. My beloved child, open your hands not in defeat, but in faith. Not in weakness, but in strength. Not in uncertainty, but in trust. As you release what you cannot control, you will discover something beautiful. Your heart becomes lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. Your spirit becomes freer. And in that freedom, you will finally recognize that the answer you were seeking was never meant to be forced into your grasp. It was always meant to be received with open hands. My beloved child, we have walked through so much together in this conversation. You began with questions. You began with uncertainty. You began wondering whether I had heard you at all. And now you stand in a different place. You have seen that I was never silent. You have seen that I sent answers through closed doors, through restlessness, through storms, through whispers, through growth within you. You have seen that what felt like delay was often preparation. What felt like loss was often refinement. What felt like rejection was often protection. You were waiting for something dramatic, something unmistakable. But all along, I was shaping you, guiding you, strengthening you. My beloved child, I already sent you the answer. It was in the resilience forming quietly in your spirit. It was in the peace that settled beneath your anxiety. It was in the boundaries you learned to set. It was in the courage that rose when you thought you could not go on. It was in the dreams that would not fade and the discernment that began to sharpen. You were never abandoned. You were being prepared. And now, as you move forward, carry this truth deeply within you. I am not distant from your life. I am involved in it. I am not withholding good from you. I am shaping it for you. I am not ignoring your cries. I am answering them in ways that build you rather than break you. Trust what I have taught you. Trust the patterns you have recognized. Trust the peace I place within you. Trust that even when you cannot see the full picture, I am holding it. Lift your head, my beloved child. Walk with confidence. You are guided. You are seen. You are loved beyond measure. And now, as this message has reached your heart, understand this. There are countless other hearts still waiting to hear my voice whisper hope into their darkness. When you choose to give through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description and QR code, you are not supporting a channel. You are sowing light into souls. I have said that those who sow generously will reap generously, and this is my living promise over you. When you feel the stirring to act, that is me inviting you to become part of someone else's answered prayer. Let your giving be like oil poured into a lamp, keeping this flame burning across nations and nights. Do not hesitate when love moves you. Step forward in obedience. Release your seed with faith, and I will breathe upon it. I will bless the hands that give, and I will multiply what is sown for my glory and for healing hearts. Now rise and act. Be a vessel. Keep the light shining. My beloved child, I have already sent you the answer, and I will continue walking with you, guiding you, loving you, leading you, every step of the way. Amen.